Sometimes, the best stories in golf aren't found on tour. You'll find them at the back of the range. And now, your host, Ben Adelberg.
Thanks again for joining me here at the Back of the Range Golf Podcast. I am your host, Ben Adelberg. This is episode 61. As you all know, I just spent the previous weekend hanging out at my second consecutive Champions Tour event. This time I was at the Classics course at the Lely Resort in Naples, hanging out at the Chubb Classic. Had a great time meeting some listeners, making some new friends with a handful of the players and some caddies. Always fun. And you just might hear some of these Champions Tour players on the podcast later this year. So stay tuned for that. And again, go check out a Champions Tour event if they roll into your city. Before we get to this week's episode, which I know you are all going to love, let's talk about our new theme music. Yes, it sounds a little similar to our previous music, but this version was put together by a South Florida band called Rogue Theory. When I'm not working on the next episode for the Back of the Range, I actually do a little work for some local bands here in the area. Golf and music seem to go together pretty well. Think about Hootie and the Blowfish, Jake Owen, and of course my favorite, Jake Trout and the Flounders. If you don't know that last band, go look it up. You'll be pleasantly surprised. Anyways, Rogue Theory is a great band. Check them out if you're down here in South Florida. And stay tuned to the end of this episode. You'll hear one of their original tunes, 2/3, and I'll have links to their stuff in the show notes. So thanks to Harry, Johnny, Mr. Hayes for reworking the intro for us this week, and look forward to catching up with you guys very soon. Another very cool thing happened over the weekend. GolfSTARZ recognized the Back of the Range Golf Podcast as, well, a golf podcast on the rise, so to speak. And we just wanted to say thanks to them for including us in their list. Go check out those guys at GolfSTARZ. That's golf_stars with a Z. Check them out on Instagram. They're always posting cool content. Read their blog. Tell them that you listen to the Back of the Range. We have new merch ordered, old merch still in stock, and the only way you're going to get that is to leave a review in Apple Podcast or shoot me an email. Let me know what you think of the podcast. We love feedback. We love hearing ideas from our listeners about what you want to hear moving forward. So all of that information, the social media channels, the website, the email address, it's all available in the show notes of this episode. And for everything you need, don't forget, go to thebackoftherange.com. Our guest this week truly embodies the mission statement, so to speak, of this podcast. We are all about the stories here. Exceptional stories for mid-ams or senior ams seem to be what the listener base has really been gravitating to. So if that sounds like you, this episode is right up your alley. I had to work really hard to get my buddy Jeronimo Esteve to be a guest on this podcast. He's very humble, but I said, Jero, your story is perfect. I finally broke his spirit and got him to agree to share some time with me on the podcast. I'm glad I caught up with him a couple weeks ago because today he's actually in Puerto Rico getting ready to play in the PGA Tour's Puerto Rico Open. That's right, a mid-am about to play in a PGA Tour event. More on that later. Jeronimo is very proud of his Puerto Rican heritage. He has competed in the Latin America Championship 4 times, made the cut 4 times. He's been a representative of Puerto Rico for the World Amateur Championships. He's played in numerous USGA championships as well. We talk about how he ended up playing college golf at Dartmouth, how he balances a busy family life with his golf ambitions, and the story of the 2011 U.S. Mid-Am that all started with a routine visit to the tailor to get a suit for his sister's wedding. You do not want to miss this story. So, Jeronimo, it has been worth the wait. Thank you so much for joining me here at the Back of the Range.
Hey, man, happy to do it.
Hey, I got to tell you, full disclosure, behind the curtain of this podcast, when I started this idea back in about August or September of 2017, I had a list of the names that I was like, I got to get that guy on the podcast, and I'm going to embarrass you in front of all the people listening. You were at the very, very top of that list because,
man, I don't know why, man.
Come on. See, all right, we're going to need to work on your self-esteem after this episode, but we'll do that off the air. But no, seriously, I wanted you on this really, really bad because you have just an absolutely phenomenal story of not only incredible amateur golf accomplishments playing in multiple USGA championships, but where you started, what you kind of been through over the last 7 or 8 years, and things you've been able to do. So We always kind of start at the beginning, kind of give our listeners a little bit of an idea where you grew up, how you got into the game of golf. Where are you from? Where are you born and raised, sir?
Yeah, so I was born and raised in Guaynabo, Puerto Rico, which is a little town just south of San Juan. It's kind of like the it's in the metropolitan area there of Puerto Rico, and then
Sure.
I grew up playing golf just west, a beach town just west called Dorado, and there was a great resort there called the Hyatt Dorado Beach, and I had 2 championship golf courses, and everybody, all my dad's friends were members, and when you're growing up, you kind of go there and play and hang out on the weekends and ride bikes and go to the beach and the pool and all that stuff, and so that's where I grew up playing, and that's where Chi lived and his brothers gave lessons, and yeah, man, it was a great place to grow up, and play a lot of golf as a kid. Took lessons from Chi, which was cool, and my dad really taught me how to play, and played a lot of golf with him. But back then there were really no other juniors. I don't ever remember playing with other kids. So, like anything else, you lose interest, right? When, I love my dad and I love being with him, but
yeah, but you reach that age where it's like it's not cool to hang out with your dad sometimes. You want to go hang with the rest of the guys, and if they're not at the golf course, you're going to find where they're at.
Yeah. So, you do other stuff, play baseball, that kind of stuff, basketball. And then we moved to Miami, and when we moved to Miami in 1990, man, I really didn't really touch a golf club. New school, new surroundings, started playing soccer, started playing, more baseball, started playing American football, which I really liked and took to. And then, golf was in the back burner.
So, but not to cut you off, but I just this is a question I have for you. I'm assuming English is not your first language.
No, you learned, you grew up in Spanish.
Right.
But my mom actually grew up in New Jersey. She spent a lot of time in New Jersey.
Okay.
So her English, my mom's English is perfect. And, when you're down there in Puerto Rico, they teach English in school. And then, believe it or not, I think I picked up English watching cartoons that are dubbed in Spanish.
Okay.
So I think that's kind of how you learn English, or at least I feel like I learned English. And then obviously we travel and stuff like that. But yeah, so I don't remember not knowing English. I just remember watching a lot of cartoons in English with Spanish subtitles.
Okay, because I knew you were born and raised in Puerto Rico. I was just curious what that transition was like. Like you just mentioned, the new school and new surroundings. But you pretty much jumped right in and then played other sports. When did golf get back in the forefront?
Yeah, man. So 9th grade, I started a new high school, and I went from like this very liberal, I don't want to say cutting edge, but yeah, it was like a very liberal, very culturally diverse junior high school, and I went to this all boys Catholic, very strict, school that I hated at first, man. I mean, I hated it, man. My freshman and sophomore years were miserable, man. So, I knew a couple kids, but, like anything else, man, you're a freshman in all boys school, you were wearing coat and tie to class and very lectured, and it was brutal, man. And, just trying to meet people and make friends. And I remember there was a golf team. Okay. And I remember thinking to myself, man, I could play golf. I could maybe join the golf team.
Sure.
So I joined the golf team, and man, I'll never forget it. Like the first tournament, I hadn't played golf in I don't know how long, man. But go out, and I think I shot like 58 or something for 9 holes. And my dad came and watched, and man, that guy, it was in competition. I think I finished last on the team, but it was something that I could do with other guys from school, and I thought I could be good at it, So I remember asking my dad for help, and I was like, Dad, I want to start playing golf, and man, that's all he had to hear,
He was back.
Yeah, he was.
I got my son back. Yeah.
Yeah, man. He was he was waiting for those words for 8 years, So, man, and we went all in, and started taking lessons first at the club, and then I used to work a lot with the guys at Jim McLean. Had this teacher named Brian Lebedovich. And then another guy called Brian Hunt really, really helped me out a lot, man. And I used to go after school and drive right over to Jim McLean there in Doral, you know, and play 9 holes with those guys and kind of gamble with them. And, you know, that helped my game a lot. And then I kept getting better. And, you know, the only thing is when I was a kid, I really only played high school golf. You know, my family traveled a lot, man. We spent some time on the boat. You know, my dad traveled for work, and we kind of always tag along in the summer. So, man, I played minimal junior tournaments.
Okay.
I think I played 1 AJGA. I played, you know, I think I played the state junior once, but it was, you know, we never, like, you know, now kids, like, you know, even my kids, like, you do everything around their sports. But I remember when I was growing up, man, like, our sports were totally secondary to whatever, like, the family was doing,
right.
You know? So yeah, I didn't play much junior golf, but, you know, it was pretty good in high school. I think my senior year, I led Dade County in scoring, and played a tournament down in the Dominican Republic in Casa de Campo, actually, it used to be called like the World Junior or something.
Right.
And played well, and actually was leading that tournament for a while, and then man, got a tape out, and, you know, a couple of schools, and I had good grades and whatnot, or decent grades, and did well on my tests, and you know, caught the eye of a couple of coaches, and I went to Dartmouth and took a visit, and man, just fell in love with the school.
Now hold on. Let me slow you down here. You're born and raised in Puerto Rico. You moved to South Florida. You're playing in, I mean, anything you're doing outside for the most part is warm weather. You're in shorts. You're playing golf courses down here. Everything is Bermuda, and the school you pick is in Hanover, New Hampshire.
Yeah, man.
And how did you fall in love with that? Because I don't know a whole lot, but I can't imagine it's too warm up there for too many months of the year.
Yeah, so actually, a little known fact, like a lot of Puerto Ricans ski, believe it or not. So I actually grew up like
uncovering all sorts of stuff on this podcast. This is amazing.
Yes.
All right, go ahead.
Yeah,
Puerto Rican ski team. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. I mean, and the Puerto Rican ski team would be legit. I mean, I know some guys that are legit skiers.
Awesome.
No, man. Yeah. So, man, I'm not scared of the snow, man. I'd gone skiing, not a bunch, but I'd gone skiing. We had cousins in Miami that all were great skiers. So we went skiing quite a bit, man. And, you know, Dartmouth is obviously a great school.
Ivy League, man. I mean, that's can't get much better than that.
Yeah, man, it was great. And then I was always been like a little bit of a romantic, I guess. And, you know, you have this idea, like I had this idea in my mind of what a school should look and feel like, you know. And just when I got out to that campus, man, and I had a great visit. I remember my host was a great friend of mine now. One of my best friends to this day, who played on the team with me. He was a year older than me, Lee Birchall, man. And I remember I had a great visit with him, and he took me out to the green in the middle of the night. The green was like our big kind of like central space, and, you know, he's like, man, you got to feel this and want this. And I just remember, man, it really was, man, what I thought it should be like, you know. And everybody I met was cool, and man, we took the plunge and went up there, man. And I remember the coach who, man, he rest in peace. He was a Hall of Fame coach named Bill Johnson. We used to call him Cha. I remember when he was recruiting me, you know, and obviously I'm this gullible kid, you know. He goes, and because I asked him, I was like, Coach, I mean, how much golf are we playing, man? You know, it's you know, it's in New Hampshire. He goes, Jero, man, you have no idea. So we're in the valley up here in Hanover, man, and the mountains over there and the mountains over there, man, they kind of block out the storms, and we don't get that much snow. And I was like, oh, okay, man, kind of makes sense to me, you know?
Wow.
Yeah, and then my freshman year snowed in October, and I was like, oh, man, what's going on?
What's happening here? And this is not, you know, I think a lot of people that follow golf programs that also, you know, with the benefits of social media, we see collegiate players on Instagram or Facebook or Twitter, and they're practicing on these perfectly manicured practice areas, indoor hitting bays that have heat in them, and it's easy. You can hit balls where it's 12 degrees out. What were your practice sessions like, which is about the year 2001, 2002?
I got up there 99.
Yeah. So, I mean, this is around, for us, for the millennials listening, let's hear what it was like about, a little less than 20 years ago in New Hampshire playing college golf.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't great. For me, you grew up in Miami and, you hit balls before you play. Like, it's a very normal thing to do.
Yeah.
But up there, that doesn't happen. Up there, you kind of go right to the tee and tee it up. So, that took some adjustment. We had a range across the road. It was probably, I would say, a 2-mile walk from the clubhouse. And, it was like you pick your own balls. You couldn't really hit driver. There were some beautiful practice holes that we could play, but I mean, you're kind of out in the woods and
it's like 19 degrees out. Who the hell wants to be out there doing that?
Yeah, man, exactly. You're wearing a ton of gear. You got mittens. I mean, it was and picking your own balls in the mud. Of course, the ground's very wet, so
right.
Everything plugs, and it's just man, it was rough. And then in the wintertime.
Oh, we haven't even gotten to the winter part yet. Okay, go ahead.
No, sorry. Yeah, that was like when it was nice.
Oh yeah, that was good. Okay.
In the wintertime, we went in Leverone Fieldhouse, which is like a big indoor field house where like all the teams would practice, and then we used to hit Cayman balls, which are those reverse dimple balls,
right,
into nets, and that was our extent of our practice. So needless to say, it wasn't ideal, man. But now I'll tell you, man, we've done a good job of raising money for the team, and they have a couple trackmans. They have an indoor putting facility now. They have a nice range only for them. We've really stepped up our game in Dartmouth, and
sure.
And the team's a lot better, man. I mean, they had after we graduated, they had a couple of great classes, and they actually had a really good kid go through there who was a top 10 amateur in the world, man. Believe it or not. Kid won the North-South. He won the Southern Am. He was like right on the fringe of the Walker Cup. So it's a program on the up and up, man. Those big D1 schools better watch out.
Absolutely. Well, you were excellent player there. All New England honors as a freshman and a sophomore. You were the captain of the team. I mean, it had to have been just a really completely positive experience. Tell me about after college. I know you played professionally on a handful of the developmental tours. Is that just something that you just had to go for? What was your mindset coming out of college?
My senior year, I was playing pretty well. That summer, I had a decent amateur summer, man, and I was kind of delaying working, to be honest with you, man. But I wanted to give it a shot.
I'm still delaying it too, so it's fine.
But I wanted to see what it was like. My dad's like, man, if you're gonna do it, you got to do it now. So, man, he and my mom, stepped up big time and helped me out, and I played as much as I could, and played okay. I could make cuts, but I started realizing that it wasn't for me when there was a couple events. It was like a 3 or 4 event swing where the Tour de las Americas, which is what I was playing, had some events with the European Challenge Tour.
Right.
Man, started hanging out and met this kid named Stephen Bowditch.
Oh yeah, I know. Yeah, Stephen Bowditch, sure.
Yeah, man. And man, we roomed together a couple of events and started hanging out, man. And I played a bunch of golf with him, man. And I remember we're in Guatemala. You're in elevation a little bit, so you're up in the mountain a little bit, so the ball flies farther. But I'll never forget, man, when I started realizing that, man, this is probably not for me, that these other guys are really, really good, was we were playing this like ho hum par 5. It was 520 yards, and I hit a pretty good drive right down the middle, and I had 200 yards in, so for my second shot, it's pretty good T-ball for me.
Sure.
And I remember pacing off about 80 yards before I got to Steven's ball. So back then, this is 04, Steven hit it in Guatemala, so the ball goes farther, but he hit it 400 yards, and I was like, wow, I don't really have an extra 80 yards in me,
Right.
And then I remember another event, we're in Panama and we're hanging out, and we're at a bar, and I tell him, hey, man, I'm going to go home. We both had tea times early in the next morning. And he's like, all right, man, I'm going to hang out, here for a little bit longer. And I remember I woke up at 6 and I'm getting ready to go, and in walks Steven, and he'd been out all night, and he goes out and beats me by 3. He's leading the tournament, without having slept. And I'm like, man, I don't have that gear,
Have you have you kept in touch with Steven? Have you?
Man, I haven't. You know, and a bunch of guys that I know now know him, but I haven't really been able to keep in touch with him, man. I hope to run into him, man. It's been a long time, but you know, there was a lot of guys, man, out there that were really good back then, man. You know, Bubba Dickerson was playing.
Yeah.
You know, and he was really good. We had this kid from Bermuda who I played against in college named Michael Sim. Who had the most beautiful golf swing I've ever seen in my life. And, you know, the guys were really good, man. And, you know, like I was good, but I wasn't, you know, those guys were really good. So kind of started winding it down. I kind of, long story short, but ran into my wife and after a European Q school and kind of, you know, decided that, you know, man, like I kind of wanted to start dating her and kind of maybe build a family with her. And then I couldn't do both. So, man, that's it. I kind of like, I was like, okay, man, this was fun. You know, I made okay money. You know, it's not going to support me and her. So, you know, we got to call this kind of quits, man. And that's it. And I think I played, you know, I think it was a total of like, I don't know, 6, 7, 8 months, man.
Yeah.
And I had a great time. I traveled all kinds of places and it was fun, man. But it wasn't, you know, it wasn't for me living out of a suitcase. You know, I remember a hotel, man. There was some mini tour event we're playing in Florida. And I remember I found some motel and it was like $40 a night, man. And I remember I had an SUV back then, an old SUV. And I remember backing the SUV all the way to the front door of the motel room. So people couldn't get in the room.
Oh,
yeah.
That's brilliant. That is brilliant right there.
Yeah, man. So, man, you know, then started working and got my amateur status back and just kind of played, you know, at Indian Creek, man. We got married and joined Indian Creek and played a lot of golf there and just kind of hung out, you know, and then started playing competitive again. When I became a mid-am.
You did the life. It wasn't for you with the travel and things like that, but you see a lot of people still going for it, playing the mini tours, chasing the dream. What advice would you have to some of these college players that listen or guys on mini tours that are chasing it right now that might be listening to this podcast? What advice do you give for guys going down the mini tour route or the developmental route?
Like there's a lot of guys trying to turn pro and trying to make it, right? And then, you know, I've been lucky to see a lot of good players, you know, and like, you know, I got a couple questions I asked. I'm like, okay, so, you know, what's your best finish at a USGA event?
Right.
You know, what's the lowest, you know, that you shot for 72 holes? You know, what's your lowest round ever? And what tournaments have you won? You know, and if you can't say, you know, a lot of pretty impressive, you know, answers to those 4 questions, I think you're going to have a hard time.
Okay. Know? Interesting. Yeah.
I think you're going to have a hard time. And that's not to be, man, that's not, you know, it's just, man, the guys are really good, man.
Yeah. I mean
really
it's not like
good.
you're saying that it's impossible. You're just saying, look, if you look at the numbers and look at the likelihood and what you have stacked against you, if you can't like wow someone that's in that world with the answers to those 4 questions.
Yeah, I mean, I think you got to be able to shoot 62, 63, 64. You got to take a double digit. You know, and my requisite for 4 rounds is you got to get to double digit under par. You know, you have to, you know, match play at a USGA event, you know, kind of deal. And you got to win, you know, a couple tournaments, you know, it could be anything, man, but you got to win, you know, and winning takes a long time. And you know, it's hard, man. Golf is really hard.
Yeah. When have you asked that? When have you asked those questions and got answers that have kind of knocked you back and said, "Oh, yeah, you might want to go chase this"?
Man, like, so I think I asked those questions.
Yeah, I'm just curious if there's someone in mind. Yeah.
So I think I asked those questions for guys that I don't think are gonna make it, and guys that I think are gonna make it. You don't have to ask that, right? Because you see it. You know. You know, there's a couple guys around the club, man, that you just see it. You know, they're gonna be fine. You know, kid comes, you know, Ryan Ruffles, man. You know,
yeah.
You know, number 2 ranked amateur in the world. You know, I think he won the junior or whatever, the junior worlds in San Diego. You know, hits it 380 yards. Like, you know, he could shoot 64, 63 any given day. You know, that kid's gonna be fine. You know, and then there's other kids that don't have that, man, and that's when I would ask that and see how much they really want golf, because if they're going to make it, you know, and actually make a career out of it, man, they're going to have to work really hard, you know?
Absolutely. So you get your amateur status back. You're married. You're starting a family. You're transitioning to that part of life. How much more fun are you having playing amateur golf than when you're playing professionally?
Oh, man, you know how it is, man. We got a great crew of guys, man. And you and I hung out like when I started playing again, really, man. You know, in the FSGA mid-am stuff, man. And that was a lot of fun. That Florida Cup we went to, the Southeast Challenge matches. Man, it's just a good bunch of guys, man, and everybody's in the same boat. You know, I read something hilarious the other day. It's like the after a tournament, you know, all the amateurs go check Instagram and Twitter and stuff, and you know, trying to chase girls or whatever. And
shocking.
You know,
no, what happened?
Yeah, all the mid-ams go check, you know, your emails and your texts to see if you're still married and have a job. You know,
that's awesome. So I mean, you've done really well with playing as a mid-am. I think it's 4 or 5 U.S. mid-ams you've qualified for, and I mean, you're right in that area. You've played, got to play World Amateur Team for Puerto Rico. That had to be just a little bit. I mean, did you ever see that coming when you started playing golf?
No, man, I didn't. You know, and the Puerto Rico deal, man, has been such a blessing, and it's so amazing, for lack of a better adjective.
That's perfect.
To be able to represent your country, man, in anything, you know. And I mean, it could be ping pong, or I mean, I wish I could play ping pong that good, but I mean, it could be, it could be beer pong, you know, whatever it is. To be able to represent your country is just it's been an incredible experience, man. I can't tell you how proud I am every time I get to do it. I love doing it. I love competing for the team, and I started late, man. I started, as a mid-am, and now I'm like the older guy there in the room, and it feels great, man. To be able to help the kids. We got a lot of young kids that have a lot of talent, that are coming up, and yeah, man, it's been a lot of fun, man, and it's opened a lot of doors for me. And man, I love it, man. I hope they keep having me. I mean, I always joke with them. They don't want to have me because I'm kind of old fat guy. But
yeah, but you keep the kids under control. You're just like a chaperone. You're the team captain, team chaperone. You keep them out of trouble. Well, actually, you probably don't keep them out of trouble, but yeah, I mean, you do the best you can.
Yeah, man.
You've played in the Latin America Amateur Championship started in 2015. You've played in the first 4 of those.
Yeah.
And you've made the cut every year, and you're going against a lot of these high school and college players. You've made the cut every single year. I'm always been fascinated by that tournament because I'm sure it's an honor to win it, and I'm sure it's an honor to play well in it. But everyone knows, or everyone that's familiar with it knows, that the winner gets an invite to the Masters. Is that just the overhanging aura of that event? Is that just on everyone's mind?
Yeah, it's on everyone's mind. It's so. First of all, that's the best run event I've ever played in, and
really?
I played in
okay.
And I played in some good ones, man.
Yeah, you have.
It's everything is to the 10th power. Everything is set up, everything is taken care of. You feel like you're playing in a major. Like a legit major. Limited field, only 108 guys. And you feel, man, like you're the king of the world that week, man. From the transportation to they have this great lady arranging your flights, everything, man. The goodie bag, the hotel setup, and the Casa de Campo is just such a great venue for it.
Sure.
And everywhere we go, man, it's just been great, and the people really support the event, and you can't say enough about the guys from the Masters, man. And those guys are walking around all week in their jacket, man. They make it an effort. They make an effort to interact, and get to know you, to the point now where I know a couple of the guys, and a couple of them come watch me play, some holes, and man, it's just, I'm lucky, and I live in the States, but a guy lives, wherever, man, in Guatemala, wherever the case may be, man. It's a huge deal, man.
Of course.
It's just such a great event. It does so much for golf. I know all our juniors, man, they can't wait to earn their spot in that field. it's just awesome, man. The TV coverage. I mean, listen, Ben, it's just they do such a good job, man. Such a good job.
That's awesome. Well, you missed it this year, and I mean, we were talking right around the tournament. I'm like, hey, are you playing? What's going on? So, can you tell me the reason why you missed this year, and then what you got to do afterwards? I love this story.
Oh yeah, man. So man, this year, you know, my wife really wanted to have a little girl. I have two great boys, 9 and 6, and you know, I thought I was done with kids, but my wife, you know, she's like, man, I really want a little girl. You know, it made me so happy. So obviously you want to do everything for your wife. So I said, all right, let's try to have a little girl. But I was like, baby, I think we're probably going to have a boy. And you know what happens then? And she said, well, no worries. If we have a boy, I said, we're done. 3's it, you know, so we're done. So I said, all right. So, you know, we get pregnant and turns out we're going to have a little boy, you know, and man, everything was great. Like the first 20 weeks. And then she started feeling some pains, and they did a little deeper check, and they put her on bed rest at home for I forgot how many weeks now, but like for 4 or 5 weeks. So that was a big change for me because I became Mr. Mom and Dad and everything. So my September was awesome. I went to the World Am in Ireland. I played in the Crump. I tried to qualify for the Mid Am. And it would have been back to back to back. Those three, it would have been 4 weeks of golf with my wife pregnant. And I remember I missed about an 8-footer on 18 that would have put me in a playoff. And I remember like not being that upset about it. You know, I was just like, you know, it is what it is, you know?
Yeah.
Anyways, man, I had a great September. You know, wifey's pregnant. She's like, okay, is your last hurrah? And I said, sure. But I had a couple of events coming up, and, you know, I was looking forward to it. When she went on bed rest, man, it kind of flipped everything around because, you know, I had to take the kids in the morning school. I had to pick them up in the afternoon. My parents were out of town. Her parents were in Asia, and we live in Orlando alone. You know, we have our friends, but, you know, we have no more support outside of that. So, man, I became like mommy, you know, and it was great. I had a great time with the kids. Man, we did everything. I coached T-ball. I took them to soccer practice. We went to soccer tournaments, the whole 9 yards. But then my wife, she had pains again, and then she was on bed rest at the hospital, man.
Oh, man.
So that made everything, you know, 10 times more complicated because, you know, then I lived in the hospital, you know, and it was rough, man. I think we did that for 9 weeks or 10 weeks. I don't remember how many weeks, but you know, I'm not playing that much golf and just kind of, again, dealing with the kids. But obviously the lack was coming. And by all accounts, the baby was going to be born way premature. In fact, they were telling us that we should consider aborting the baby because he wasn't going to be viable.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, man, and all this stuff. So, man, we kept going and day by day, and we were thinking, okay, any day now this baby is going to burst through and he's going to be born. Sure. And, man, my wife, you know, she did everything they told her. She was, you know, laid in a hospital bed for weeks and for months, really, and the baby wouldn't come. So, but now it's getting close to the LAC.
I'm sorry, LAC, you mean the Latin American Amateur Championship?
Yeah,
perfect.
Yeah,
okay.
getting ready for the LAC, and the baby's not born yet. I'm like, well, you know, I kind of told, you know, she kind of told me, it's like, well, the baby's not born by this day, you know, you shouldn't go, and I agree with her, and I called the LAC and I let them know, and you know, they were okay with it, I guess. And they gave me a couple more days, and they told me, look, man, you know, take a couple more days, which is nice of them, and just be sure. And and then that Sunday before, I emailed them and said I couldn't go, man. And I think they gave the spot to somebody local, which is great.
Yeah.
So yeah, the baby was born the Thursday of the LAC, man. So it was like, you know, the best thing I did was not go down there because I would have missed.
Oh yeah, no, you can't do that. So
yeah.
So you don't go down. You missed the very first one. You've played in all 4 of them. You missed this year.
Yeah.
But you actually got to swing by Puerto Rico a little bit afterwards for just a little bit of golf. So tell me about that.
Yeah, man. So
this is so crazy.
So I was actually ramping up, man, and I'm working with my guy. Like, my game was in really good shape. I felt really good for that LAC. So the LAC this year was in Casa de Campo. I've grown up going there since I was a kid. I played that golf course a million times. I felt good. I played really well the last time I was there. Had one bad round, but I played really well. I really thought I could contend. I sleep in my own house, my own bed, the whole 9 yards. But I was bummed I couldn't go, but my game was in good shape, and I just had nothing to play in. So right around the LAC, I played this tournament here in Orlando for kids, the Orlando International Amateur, and played really well. A kid went off, shot 19 under in 3 rounds and won it. But, man, I played well. I think I shot 11, 12 under in 3 rounds. Finished 4th against a bunch of kids, decent field. So I felt good. And then the president of the PRGA sent me a text, and he's like, "Hey, man, are you going to come down and qualify for the Open?" And I didn't know what he was talking about. And
that's pretty cool when the president of the Puerto Rico Golf Association just shoots you a text like, "Hey, you want to swing on down?"
Yeah, man, it was cool, man. And the guy that caddy for me in the qualifier, he texted me. He's like, "Hey, man, so you're gonna come down?" And the PRGA was really cool. I signed up past their cutoff, so the qualifier was on a Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I ended up signing up Wednesday night.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and I flew down Thursday night. Got a flight. Flew down Thursday night, and it was at the golf course I grew up at. So I played it enough. I kind of know it. You didn't have to be there and see it, but played really well. Played solid. Shot. I think I shot 7 under. Yeah, 7 under with it, and then with 2 shots, I ended up shooting 5 under for 3 rounds and got in, man, 1 by 4. So got me in the Puerto Rico Open, man, which is next week, and I'm pumped about it, man.
PGA event, Puerto Rico Open. So that's a pretty great. You have another boy, which, well, sorry, but I know that your wife was hoping for a girl, but you get another boy and he's healthy, and then you shoot down and you're playing in your second PGA Puerto Rico Open.
Yeah.
And when do you leave for that?
I'm trying to book everything now, but hope to fly down Monday morning and play a P round Monday afternoon and Tuesday, and it's cool. A couple of guys from the club here are going down, so it'll be fun to go down there and know some guys and not be like a complete, noob. So, man, I'm looking forward to it, man. Guys reached out and they said they want to play a practice round with me, which was really nice of them. And yeah, man, I'm pumped, man. It's a golf course. I've won there before. There's a lot of wind usually, so scores aren't low. The greens are past bottom, so it's kind of tough to make putts. So it's not like somebody's gonna go off. So man, it should be a lot of fun. Obviously you get to tee it up with the best in the world, man, and the Puerto Ricans, man, it's a great crowd. I know a lot of friends from down there are going. Yeah, I can't wait, man.
That's going to be awesome. Who you got your practice round set up with? I know you're a member out at Windermere. Is that right?
Member out of Alworth, man. My wife and I joined Alworth, yeah, about 4 years ago, man, and we loved it, man. But Arjun Atwal got in the event. I played a lot of golf with him. He's like, man, let's play a practice round. I think Appleby got in too, man. So we're gonna try to tee it up. So it should be fun. Nice.
So those are kind of your home games at Isleworth.
Well, Stewart practices a lot, and he's playing. Arjun comes to go. He goes plays that Asia tour, and he'll be gone for a couple months. But when he's in town, man, we play a lot. We play a lot of golf. He beat me in the first club championship I played. I should have clipped. It was match play, and we get to the 3rd extra hole, and he made an unbelievable. Guy has the greatest hands you ever seen in your life, man. He made this just unreal up and down on 3 at Isleworth to beat me, and man, we play a lot of golf, man. He's a great guy. He actually gave me a great tip. I wasn't chipping that well. Isleworth, man, when it gets a little wet, it's tough to chip, as witnessed by Tiger back then, 3, 4, 5 years ago when it was,
Sure.
Like it could eat your confidence quick because you got to get the ball up. Everything's elevated, man. And we played this little event. I chipped the ball so poorly, and I was kind of lost and I had no confidence, man. And Arjun gave me a tip, and I went down to that qualifier, and I hit the ball really well. But I remember one hole in the second round, I missed the green. I hit a poor tee ball, and I was in the hazard, and I hit this miraculous shot out, and I hit it along right, and I used that chip, and I chipped it in, man. So,
what's the tip?
Man, he just said something like when you're nervous or when you gotta make sure you make he saw me pitch a couple and he basically called me an idiot for doing what I was doing. And a guy like that, again, you watch him pitch and chip the ball, he's unbelievable. So he tells you something, I did it, man, and it was good, man. It was just about, basically about keeping my weight a little further left.
Okay.
So something stupid, and he's seen me play enough that he's like, "What do you?" I think he called. I did. In fact, I think he did call me stupid. So he helped me out. He's a good guy. So
what? I'm listening to your, basically detailing your life where you got the kids, you're being mom and dad when your wife is on bed rest, and you're trying to play. I know you work for a living. I know you're kind of in the family business. Your family has car dealerships, if I'm correct. What is it? Is it Headquarter Honda? Is that right?
Yep. We got we're in the car business, man. We sell Toyota, Honda, Hyundai, and Mazda, man.
Okay.
And I just got I got an unbelievable team, man. They do a good job, so I can play a little golf, man. My remember my grandfather told me once, man, and he's great. He told me, he goes, man, if if I got to be at the office, I'm not doing my job, man. So, yeah, man, I've been lucky, man. The guys are great, and the girls, and man, they give me some freedom, and honestly, I have my wife is so understanding of this, and she knows how much I like competing, man. And my friends will tell you, man, I compete in everything, man. Anything I do, I like competing in, and she knows what it means to me, man. So she's cool, and then really lets me play, which is phenomenal, man. So
well, and that's great that you have that support behind you. But I guess the question I want to ask, that you can kind of relay that to people listening, is that a lot of mid-ams, a lot of they work, they got the wives, they got the kids. Well, maybe not multiple wives, but they have a wife and they have kids or husbands or whatever. And even ladies, they got to balance the kids, and men have to, everyone has things they have to balance. Are there things that you really focus on when you're working on your game to get ready? Maybe what are some tips that you can share for people that have limited amount of time, but still would like to get out and enjoy golf?
Ben, as I get older, man, and I feel like I keep getting better at golf. I don't know how, but I feel like I keep getting better. And as I get older, man, I realize a couple things, man. I tell this to my friends all the time, man. It's like, I got what I got. My game's my game, right? And I'm never gonna hit the ball like Rory. I'm never gonna. Your game is your game, and I think as you get older, man, you just gotta figure out a way to manage your game, and manage your miss, and as you get experience from playing, you get tendencies of what you do, under pressure. And it's, you got to be honest with yourself, when you're assessing, after a tournament, what were you thinking, how were you feeling, man? And then it's just a matter of putting yourself in that situation again and overcoming it, man. And I think that, every time I play a tournament, man, I try to learn something, man. And I've been lucky, and I play with a lot of good players, man. And, I play with a lot of good players, man. And, every time I play with them, man, I try to learn something, man. And the mid-ams, the good mid-ams are so good, man.
Yeah.
Listen, Thad.
Thad Hudgens. Yep. Huey Magoo.
He's my boy, man. And man, he went through a stretch there, man. He was a couple of years where the guy was just, I was like, man, this guy's as good as anything, and you learn, and I learned from him, and what he was practicing and thinking and that kind of deal. And, I got lucky and played with Hagestad a couple rounds, man. And, see him in competition and the way he thinks and does. And man, I try to be a sponge, and I try to learn from all these guys, and, try to apply it to my game. And then I think if I was going to give advice, is that, it gets to the point where, where you got what you got, and you got to just play your game, man. And your game is what's gotten you there forever, and you just got to trust it. You got to trust what you have, man. And I think something that I've done as I get older, man, I just trust what I have, man, and it's been working, man. It's been a good ride.
No, I mean, what you've been able to accomplish, and also just the really cool experiences of, anyone can go, not anyone, but it's open to anyone to go qualify for USAM or US Mid-Am, but just the Latin America Championship, the World Amateur Team for Puerto Rico, that has to be just an incredible honor to be able to do that. And then, oh, by the way, you're going to go tee it up in a PGA Tour event next week. So that's incredible. I would like to close the episode out. I've kind of saved this for last because it may be a story that some people will know, or they'll say, oh yeah, I remember that. I know this story. I know a lot of your friends, obviously your friends and your family know a lot about this story, but we're going to go back to about 2010. And this story kind of culminates a little bit with the 2011 U.S. Mid-Amateur. So I think it's an incredible story about keeping things in perspective and how golf kind of got you through a very difficult part of your life. It's an incredible story. Tell me about, kind of bring me back to about 2010, where this chapter kind of started for you.
Yeah, it was actually 2011.
Okay.
It was March 2011, man, and I'd gone down to Indian Creek, down in Miami. I go down there like that third week of March is when the club championship, and love playing in that event, man. I love that. You know, guys that know me know how much I love Indian Creek, man. I think it's just the greatest place on earth, and so I love playing the club championship, man. I love, you know, having an opportunity to compete and win it, and so I was down there playing, man, and my sister was getting married in April, and I was a groomsman, and she had asked us to get fitted for these suits she wanted us to wear for her wedding, and it was I think it was at the second round. I was playing really well. I played really well, and then afterwards went to go get fitted for a suit, and you know, I've been kind of working out back then too. I was actually trying to take care of myself, and I was in a little better shape than I am now. So for me, I was in shape. I was almost at my fighting weight, and I remember I'm trying on a suit, and the guy comes and measures my neck, and the guy told me I was a size 18 and a half or 19 neck, right? And I was like, come on, man, what's wrong with you? You know, how did, let's measure that again. He's like, no, man, you're like an 18. I think it was 18. You're an 18 neck. And I said, okay, well, you know what? It must be because I'm working out my traps or something. You know, I must be getting big.
You're a beast.
So, yeah, I'm getting huge, right? So we end up, anyways, I started trying on. So I tried on the suit. I was good. Then I try on the shirt. And when I try on the shirt, I'm like, you know what? Let me get a look at these traps. Let me see what it looks like, And I look, man, and I got this giant ball, like a big mass in my neck. And I'm like, oh. And I remember the guy was he was a Cuban,
Tailor.
Yeah. And I remember he goes, uy, and I was like, yeah, that's probably not good. And I remember seeing it, and I was like a little freaked out. And I called my wife. I'm like, hey, babe, I got this crazy thing on my neck. And she flipped out. She's like, you gotta go right now. And I was like, man, I got the final of the club championship tomorrow. Like, I don't really want to go right now. Like, let me call my doctor friend. I have my doctor buddy. I called him. I was like, hey, man, I got this on my neck. And he goes, okay. So, and the guy's super calm, very cool guy. And he goes, Jero, what do you have going on tomorrow? And I remember telling him, I was like, hey, F, man, I got a tournament that I really want to play in. And then I have nothing. He goes, okay, well, this is what you're going to do. You're going to go play in the tournament. And then right afterwards, you're going to go see my buddy at the hospital. And I did just that, man. I played the next day and kind of had that in the back of my headline, but you forget about it, and just I played golf, and I played really well that day, and ended up winning the club championship. And then, man, right afterwards went to the hospital. I saw my buddy's friend, and the guy looked at me, and he goes, man, 99% chance you got cancer.
Oh.
And I was like, oh, and that, man, I remember my dad was there with me in the room, and they really hadn't done any tests. The guy's like, man, your age, what I'm looking at, he goes, yeah. And, he goes, man, chances are that's what you got. But he goes, look, man, we're going to do some tests and we'll confirm it all, man.
Sure.
But when he said that, I was just like, boom,
Oh, yeah. The bottom falls out. Because, I mean, it's one thing if they do the test, but this guy's just eyeballing you. I mean, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And, I mean, the guy's a heck of a doctor. He ended up being right, obviously.
Oh, yeah.
But, then we got lucky, man. My dad knew a guy at the MD Anderson in Houston. Man, they were able to see me right away. Ended up flying up to Houston. On my flight up, the oncologist in Miami is like, hey, man, it looks like you got Hodgkin's lymphoma, which is actually, man, I got very lucky because that's the one you want, man. If you're going to have cancer, that's a great one to have. They've studied it for so long. they you know, they don't have it pegged, but they have a very good idea of how to, you know, how to kind of beat it, man. So got to Houston, and I remember I met my doctor, Dr. Wang, and yeah, he was a little bit of a golfer, and he found out I was a golfer, and man, the guy was unbelievable. And then the MD Anderson, they're huge on your mental health. You know, they think it's just as important as everything they're doing. You know, so Dr. Wong is like, man, what do you like to do? And he decided that they weren't going to give me a port, because if they gave me a port, I couldn't play golf.
Wow.
So he's like, man, I want you to play golf. You know, I want you to. He's like, man, just when they give you the chemo, it's going to suck because they're going to have to stick you every time. And man, the chemo, little known fact, but it hurts, man.
Sure, of course.
The drugs, they burn your veins, and you feel it, man. It's a really strange thing. But that was a trade-off, man. I played a lot of golf. We actually we joined Champions Golf Club out there, Jackie Burke's place in Houston. Man, we met a great group of guys. The guy that hosted us, a great guy by the name of Steve Marlin. They have a great scratch game there Saturday mornings, and I played in it, and man, it was a great place to work on the game, man, and met so many good people in Houston, including my doctor, man. And I'll tell you this, I think this story is even better. So the best round I ever had in my life was I shot 62, okay? And I shot it with Dr. Wang at Westwood Country Club in Houston, okay? And it was right before we were about to start treatment. And Dr. Wang pulled on, we were hitting balls, and, you know, he's a Chinese guy that works 18 hours a day. You know, his golf swing's not very good, you know, so I'm watching him hit a couple balls, and, you know, he's like, Jero, let me tell you something. I said, what's up, Doc? He goes, I'm going to cure you, man. Don't worry about it. That's what he told me before we played.
That's awesome.
Hey, man, the hole looked like a swimming pool, man. I mean, it was, I mean, I never hit the ball better in my life. I mean, it was just the greatest thing. I remember after 9, I missed a putt on 9 for 29. And my dad, I was playing with my dad and Dr. Wang and his friend, Dr. Chaplin. And my dad looked at me, he goes, man, was that for 29? I said, yeah. And he goes, okay. The Dr. Wang and Dr. Chaplin had no idea, okay, what I had just done. They had no concept of they had no concept. But so they're like, oh, let's stop for lunch. And I was like, what?
Wait a minute.
So, man, we stopped for lunch. And, man, we had like an hour lunch, you know, and I was like, okay.
No, all right. So tell me about the lunch. No, I'm kidding.
No, man, it was like, they still had no concept. I didn't bring it up either. But you know, we were talking about all kinds of other stuff, you know, but
they're chewing on napkins like, get me out there. You know,
yeah. And, so after 45 minutes or to an hour, we go out to the 10th hole. We had, you know, cold, you know, I hit like a beat drive. It was a pretty easy hole. Hit like a beat drive, like a wedge to like 25 feet, and I 3-putt, man. And I was like, oh my God, man, what is it? But then I went on a tear, man, and I ended up shooting 62 that day. And I had my buddy, Jason out there, man, and he actually had the course record coincidentally, and he's like, what are you doing? I'm like, no, man, I'm playing really well, you know, I'm at 10 under. He goes, dude, that's the course record. You got it. 18 was like this pretty easy par 5. He goes, man, you make par here, you got it, man. And I remember I hit in the right hazard, took a drop, put in the green side bunker, and got up and down for par to shoot 62. So that was great, man. So the reason I bring that up is I was playing golf, you know, and and it was part of my routine, man. I would get treated on Tuesday mornings, and then by like Thursday, felt good enough to go play, and you know, try to hit some balls Thursday. Then I felt good, you know. We play Friday, and then kind of hang out, man. So a friend of my dad's took us out to Shadowhawk to play, just to try a different golf course in Houston. There's 1,000 of them, but you know, to try it. And he's like, man, the mid-ams here this year, you should try to qualify. And I said, man, you know what? I'm going to do it. So I remember I signed up. There was a qualifier in I think it was called like Grand Oaks or something in Houston. And went down and played a P round and, you know, kind of figured out the timing. And I was like, I think that we could do it. I think we could, you know, by then that had stopped getting chemo and I was just doing radiation once a day. So we moved my radiation appointment for like in the afternoon. You should give us plenty of time in the morning to go play, you know. And, man, I played great that day. I mean, I remember I made 7 birdies and kind of, like, really choked on the way in. Imagine I didn't play tournament golf in I don't know how long.
Right.
So I really kind of choked on the way in and to shoot. I think I shot 2 under with 7 birdies. So, not like a phenomenal finish. And I was like, oh, all right, I got to go get treated. So see you later, man. And I thought it was going to be good enough anyways. Because, sometimes you play well and it.
Right.
So, man, I'm looking at the scores and I'm sitting there getting treated. And I'm like, Dad, I think we're going to go to a playoff, man. And he goes, stop it. I said, Dad, I think we got to go to a playoff, man. So, man, they finished my...
And you're in the hospital getting radiation. You got your phone out. You're checking scores. And,
yes.
And you're doing cancer treatment, and you're telling your dad, hey, and you're telling the people at the hospital, hey, let's wrap this up. I got to go back to work.
Yeah, man. So we did, man. And again, Ben, when we were doing it, it was nothing. It wasn't until after we did it, we're like, holy man, did that really just happen?
Right. So you go back to the course. I think it was like a 5 for 4 or 4 for 3, something.
Yeah,
like that.
It was, man. It was a pretty easy setup, man. Yeah, it was a 5. That's exactly what it was. It was a 5 for 4. My caddy had left, I think, so I forgot who ended up caddy for me. Man, just made like all pars, and like I think I had a good up and down, like the second playoff hole. I make a pretty good up and down for par, and then I think I made 4 pars to get in. And it was like I remember walking back from the green of the playoff hole, and I remember looking at my dad, and I was like, Dad, did that just happen? Did we really just go get treated, come back, and qualify in a playoff? I was like, man, that's crazy. And man, it was great. And that mid-am was fun, man. So I think the mid-am was like early September that year. I had gone home already. I think I had finished treatment, and then came back out. I met a great guy out there, a friend of mine, Tommy Mock, who's a friend of mine to this day, man. And Tommy caddy for me in the mid-am, and he took great care of me, man. And we played really good, man. And I messed up. It's a story I tell everybody, man. I remember the second day in the morning I played really well. I holed out for eagle on like a really tough par 4. I think it was the third or fourth hole there. I dunked a 5-iron from like 205. Then I birdied like a tough par 3. And like I was kind of in the cut line, and then I got to the 9th hole, which is my last hole, man. And it was like the easiest par 5 on the whole 2 golf course, man. It's like 540, like a little lake on the right, and like all of Texas to the left. And they had like this big bunker right in front of the green. All you had to do was like hit it left in the rough and just kind of like chunk a 3-wood into the front bunker and get up. It was like really easy hole. And I remember, man, I hit a drive right in the middle of the lake.
Oh man.
And on the tee, I knew what I had to do, man. But I remember just like all the emotions coming back, like all the stuff that I was thinking about that wasn't, hitting a good golf shot.
You
you're
thinking about what got you there instead of what you had to do right then and there.
Yeah, man. So I remember I hit a tee ball right in the middle of the lake. I dropped one. I hit in these trees. I hit like a ridiculous shot from these trees to like 50 feet, okay, on the green. And I make it.
Oh, no.
To go to a playoff. And this playoff was like the opposite. It was like 20 for 2 or something.
Oh, yeah. Those are terrible. I always feel bad whenever I hear about those. Every year at the US Am or the US Mid-Am, there's always that to get into match play. These 23 poor bastards got to get up at 7 a.m. for like 2 spots.
Yeah, man. So I was in a 20 for 2, and man, like I tried to get aggressive on the first hole, and I think I ended up making like triple bogey or something, man.
Yeah,
but
that didn't get you through.
That didn't get me through, man. But yeah, it was a cool experience, man. Crazy times that you don't think about, but that you did, man. It was a cool story, man. And
no, it's a great one.
Yeah, I couldn't have done it there with my family, man. And yeah, it was fun, man. It was fun.
So before we wrap it up, what's next? I mean, you got the PGA Tour event next week. Do you set big goals for that and for the rest of the year, or do you just kind of take things as they come and just play golf and have fun? What's kind of your mindset of golf moving forward?
Yeah, so unfortunately now with the kids, it's tough like to play a lot of events, so I gotta try to figure out which ones I can play, which ones fit. We have a great one in April down at Seminole that unfortunately I have to withdraw. because my sister's getting married, man. It's that same weekend. So, you know, man, I got to figure out which ones I can go to, which ones I can, and, man, try to compete when I can. And when I can't, man, I got to go back to going to work and being a dad. And now my wife's back home, so it's nice having a wife again.
There you go.
Yeah, so, you know, I'm coaching the kids in baseball now and in the spring. So I'm coaching both teams. And, man, just, you know, listen, golf is a great escape. It's just an incredible game. The fact that we can compete, you know, for a long time, I think is what makes it one of the greatest games, you know, and I have fun, Ben. You listen, the guys I've met, man, you know, some of my best friends are from the golf games, are from tournaments. Man, the experiences you have, our wives meet, they become friends, you know, it's just awesome, man. So, you know, I'll try to keep it going as long as I can, man. As long as my wife will let me, basically.
That's a strategy, man. That's smart.
You know, until you check your phone and, you know, I'm either not married or don't have a job anymore, right?
I think you're going to be just fine, man. I think you're going to be fine. Well, I really do appreciate you joining me and us finally getting this together. I really wanted to get your story out there onto this podcast, and I wish you the best of luck with the Puerto Rico Open next week. We'll definitely send a little bit of a good luck mojo down your way, and go ahead, top 10 that shit, and get into another PGA Tour event if you're going to be down there. I mean, go ahead.
Let's go, baby. No, I got goals. I like that golf course. I think if the first tour event, the first time I played in it, man, the first hole I was so nervous. I can't even. It was crazy. I've never been that nervous playing golf, you know, ever. I remember I had like a 3-footer for bogey on one, and I remember thinking to myself, I was like, man, you have no chance of making this. You know, like just cozy this one down there because it's not going in, man. Let's just move on to the next hole. So I remember I started off with double, and I was like, oof, all right, good, man. You messed up already. You got it out of the way.
There you
now
go.
Go play golf. And I think I birdied the second hole, but you know, listen, I think you learn from experiences, and if I can control my emotions, man, it gets windy down there, Ben, really windy, man. So, you know, you just kind of golf your ball around and make a couple birdies and see what happens there at the end, man.
Before I let you go, I just had one last question. Who's the best player you've ever competed against?
Man, so believe it or not, the best player I ever played with is Eric Compton, man.
You got a Compton story. Oh, I love that. I mean, that's crazy that of all the people you've played with, because I know you had to play with Ray Floyd, you played with his sons, you had to have played with, all the people up at Isleworth, and the guy that just comes up right away is another guy that's fought through a health scare to play really great golf and he's a PGA professional.
Yeah, Eric Compton, man. I played a little golf with him. In fact, I roomed with him a couple of times, but Eric Compton is the only person that I played around a golf with. I'll never forget it, man. We played in the afternoon one day at Indian Creek, and I think he shot 66, okay? But he didn't miss one shot in 18 holes, man. Meaning, like, you know, if he had to hit a low cut, he hit a low cut. If, you know, the pin was front right, he had to hit a high fade, he hit a high fade. You know, if he had to turn her over low, he did it, man. It was just incredible, man. I'll never forget that round of golf, man. That to me was like man, it was like picture perfect. I was like, man, I gotta figure out how I can do that, man. So that was the best round of golf I ever seen, man, with Compton. That was the most impressive golf I ever seen. Oh, I got a good so this guy, you know, the guy I won on Web like a couple weeks ago, last name is Dow.
Yeah, Marty Doe.
Marty Doe. All right, so I got a good Marty Doe story. So I got lucky, man. I got paired with Patrick Reed at the U.S. Amateur. I got paired with Thomas Peters at the World Am in Turkey, and I got paired with Marty Doe in the World Am in Japan. Okay.
Okay.
And final round, we're playing with China. It was a big deal. We actually played really well that year in Japan. The first couple rounds. So we got paired with China, which was kind of like a big deal. China obviously is really good at golf.
Yeah.
So I'm playing with Marty Dow, and it's like the 11th hole, man. And this kid is really good, but but B, the kid would never grab the pin. Never. So finally, like, you know, I get pissed. I'm like, hey, man, do you know how much a pin weighs? And the guy looked at me. I'll never forget. Back then, he was wearing this bucket hat and these glasses, man. And he looked at me like completely dumbfounded, man, you know, until he realized why I was, you know, asking how much a pin weighed. You know, I was like, man, you haven't grabbed one all day. And, man, he was like, man, I'm so sorry. You know, and this is what you learn when you play with different cultures. He goes, man, in China, the first guy that holds out goes to the next tee box. You know, he doesn't wait around and grab the pin and put it in, man. He's gone, man. So he goes, that's why I haven't grabbed the pin. I'm sorry, man.
Oh,
so,
wow.
Yeah, man. So that's my Marty Dow story. He was on tour, and he was really good, man. Really good.
Yeah, of course. And that guy, I mean, I don't know how old he is now, but he still looks like he's 14.
I think he is 14.
Oh, okay. Okay, cleared that up. Perfect. I appreciate that. Let's see. So Patrick Reed at the USAM. I mean, there's probably not much you can tell me about Patrick Reed at that point, is there?
There isn't, man.
I didn't think so.
He was actually he was a gentleman with us, man. I think if he would have played well, he would have been in the Walker Cup. And man, I think twice. He flew it. You know, Southern Hills is really hard, man.
Yeah.
Just tough greens, elevated, and I think twice he flew it and hit a pin, and the ball would come back down the fairway like 40 yards. So the guy got kind of hosed a couple times, and he was actually, man, he was fine back then, man. He was fine. I tell you, Thomas Peters, when I played with him in Turkey, was a really impressive kid, man. He was really nice, really cool, really down to earth, and you know, he was world number 2 or 3 or 4 or whatever he was back then.
Yeah, he played at Illinois, so he was.
Yeah. Played at Illinois, won NCAAs, and I remember we hit it off because he drove a Honda Accord in Illinois.
Oh, perfect. So you're
that
set.
Was his
there you go.
So I was making fun of him because he hadn't changed the oil in his Honda Accord in like 7 years or something. But, man, he was so good and played so well under pressure. And he had all these expectations, and he had camera crews and just like a whole entourage watching him play from Belgium, man. And the guy just hit shot after shot after shot. That kid was really impressive, and obviously you know what he's done since, man.
Oh, of course. Man, Jero, this is just really a treat. Again, I really do appreciate you joining us here at the back of the range. Good luck next week at the Puerto Rico Open, my friend. Enjoy that.
Thanks, Ben. Yeah, looking forward to it. Thanks for having me, man. I hope. It was a lot of fun, man. These are cool.
And there you have it. Another great episode here at the back of the range. Special thanks to Jeronimo Esteve for joining us this week. Good luck to you, man, down at the Puerto Rico Open. We're all going to be sending some good luck mojo your way. I mentioned Rogue Theory at the beginning of this episode. This is their original song, 2/3, so hope you enjoy that. Remember, all the links to our social media channels are in the show notes of this episode. Enjoy the music. We will see you next week here at the back of the range.
When I move, oh, I can wreak havoc. Then I think, oh, I make magic too. When I'm in the groove, oh, I could be savage. Then I think, oh, I can be that too. 'Cause I'm a two-sided coin and a three-sided light. Wondering what I did for joy when I'm throwing out my dice. 'Cause I can't stop wondering if what I did was wrong. 'Cause it just feels so right. You're in the mood, oh, sometimes I panic. But that's just 'cause I'm crazy about you. I'm hard to read when I'm full speed. die.